season is forming personal and team goals. It is my belief that with these goals in mind, we remain adamant in pursuing our dreams and to make them a reality. If we are goalless in life, we remain constant, which brings no improvement. It's only in trying to be a better person that you were yesterday, today, that makes serious change in our growth as a human being. My personal goal for this team was to create champions and positively motivate and inspire them to be the best that they want to be. I think I did a good job accomplishing these goals for our regular season with 13 wins, 11 losses. Our varsity league record being 3-1 with a jaw-dropping victory over Rancho and a humble loss against Los Amigos, which we handled like champions. These boys learned that winning is everything to them, that they set themselves up for failure. We took every loss as a learning experience and were able to transform ourselves and adapt for the next game. The speed that this group was able to make these adaptations in the games was mind-blowing, and at some points, it was amazing all the time. And looking at our stats, on average, we scored more goals in the third and fourth quarter than we did in the first half. Our top defensive men were able to dwindle down the opposition's defense to the point, or offense rather, to the point where most teams had to run a full counterattack offense just to beat us. Finishing our season tied in the league is nothing to be ashamed of, boys, but rather a compliment to us, I believe. All the coaches in our leagues, all the other coaches in our league are friends of mine, I would consider. And they all talk about how our school, the Argos, had the crosshairs on their head this year in the league, which is something that I was really aiming for. It made me feel really proud. They said they watched us like hawks and trying to counter our style of play, which unfortunately stopped our undefeated title when Los chiseled away at us on that Memorial Night. Not many teams had the opportunity of making it to CIF, which was a goal of mine every single year. The accolade of being able to say that I went to CIF is reason enough to be pumped about making it, even though we lost our wild card game 9-10. After both our last league game and our last CIF game, I saw that the true winning nature emerged from this group of boys right here that you see before you. They held their heads up high, shook hands respectively, and finished every single game by talking about our shortcomings and realized our mistakes. So I'm going to go ahead and welcome up the boys here individually. I'm going to hand them their certificate, as well as their certificate of competing in CIF, which is pretty cool. All right. Starting off, I'm going to go ahead and do this by grade, by alphabetical order of last name. So first off, I'm going to welcome Carlos Moya. I had a good idea of who my team was going to consist of, and from the beginning I knew Carlos was going to be part of it. He showed such extreme interest and spirit, which directly translated into drastic increase in his skill level. During Hell Week, I approached him and asked if the varsity would interest him, and the glow on his face was heartwarming. It was as if he just won the lottery. Carlos keeps up with the upperclassmen and even surpasses them on occasion. He has serious passion for the sport, which has gotten him so far this year. And I know if this drive continues, he's going to be a major part of this program for the next half of his high school career. Next up, I'm going to welcome Josh Bravo. Josh Bravo is an unmovable wall in the water. He has a drive for the set position and has a backhand that I can only compare to myself. And I definitely see him as a perfect replacement as a first or second string set player on this next year's team. He is so huge in size and length, which is great, a huge advantage in water polo. But as soon as we instill a little bit more speed, he's going to be one of the most biggest forces on this team, I guarantee that. He definitely has split responsibilities and commitments between bands, which is huge and extremely tough. And truly, I do not know how he does it and balances it so well. But he finds a way to balance it perfectly. And this is going to set him up in the future in his life of handling all the stresses that come with everyday life. So I couldn't be any more proud of the guy. Next up, Kyle Deegan. Kyle Deegan is one heck of an athlete, not just in the water, but also on land as well. Every day he proves to me that he is deserving of a starting position, even if he's not always the first one, but more than likely the first person off the bench. Over the last 2 years, Kyle Deegan has taken advantage of every opportunity to make himself better. Not just better, but the best. He splits his free time between schoolwork, riding on the bike track, and joining 2 different water polo clubs, both ours here and over at Los Alamitos. The kid's constant attitude drives me personally as a coach to push myself into learning new and complex drills that he quickly masters and then sets a standard for in the pool that all the rest of the boys try to emulate. His skill and passion for the game will get him far, but his leadership skills is what's going to get this team far someday. Next up, I'm going to welcome Jared Wynn. In the very beginning of the preseason, when I started forming this rough draft of the team that I had in my head, Jared was the #1 pick that I was going to be moving up from the Varsity. I absolutely wanted him on the team. There was no doubt in my mind that he would be able to apply his energy and his focus in whatever I needed it, both in the field and in the cage. As a backup goalie, he saved over the season 45 out of his 52 attempts on him. So he caught 45 goals. And you know what? No matter what position he ends up in next year, I know that he's going to love it just because of the attitude that he has. Next up, I'm going to invite Dylan Janoka. Dylan Janoka, an absolute natural in the water. You know, saying that Dylan makes the sport look easy is almost kind of asinine to say, but it really is true. He makes the sport easy. The hardest part of training an aquatic athlete is just that transition of being a land creature and then going into the water, which I mean I've never seen from Dylan. And his sister, by the way. Don't even say that. You know, he has aspirations of being the best player ever, and I have no shadow of a doubt that's going to happen. His speed is overpowered, and the positioning that he gets offensively wise is near perfection. When talking to other coaches in our league, they didn't even believe that he was a junior. On account of his 75 recorded goals this season, 29 goal steals, and 70% shot accuracy in league. Garbage man. You know, I truly feel like speaking about his performances this year does little justice to what it actually is. This kid is unbelievable unless you actually see him in action. Next up, Jake Mesa. Jacob was a perfect example of the saying, you get out of what you put in. He spent the last year during club season and swim proving that he was deserving of a varsity position. He was very timid during the preseason and, you know, would get tossed around from time to time by some of the seniors. But through the season, things changed drastically. It really got to the point where I would get in the water and I'd be afraid to guard Jacob because he is just so overwhelming in the water. He loves to prove himself. It's insane. You know, rather than rushing drills and trying to be the fastest person, whatever we're doing, I noticed Jake taking his time and putting pride into the passing, into the drills, trying to perfect his ball handling skills whenever he can. getting into the water to try to make it. It's almost impossible to get in the water with this kid just because of the amount of aggression that is emerging from him. And you know, he's greatly improved and is going to be one of the better starters on this team next year. I'm really proud of the guy. Next up, Austin. Every morning, Austin tried to be the first person in the pool, and is a natural leader by example. Having him on the team was an absolute must, knowing his defensive skills are some of the best on the team. He's a little slower, speed-wise, but it's because I believe he analyzes situations in the game to make sure his skills or the pressure that he's applying is completely clean. All we need to do is improve on his shot accuracy a little bit, and Austin's going to be the perfect replacement for Tyler Wynn as our starting point player next year. Next up, Nick Zinito. Nick is an absolute joy to watch in the water. Just give me one moment. I wrote some really inspiring words about him. Find it. Please forgive me. So Nick is a little stern, a little hard-headed, but still, listen to me. He is one of the best listeners on this team. He was probably one of our better counterattacks this year, which I take pride in because that is what kind of a player I definitely tried to be when I was playing. And I definitely like to prove the point to the boys that counterattack is one of the main points of water polo, and Nick definitely likes to take advantage of that. You know, he anticipates situations in the game, and he's always 2 steps ahead of everybody else. Where he needs to be, both, whether that be out on the police or going down to the shot himself. He needs to read the goalies a little bit better, but he definitely likes to nail those shots right in their face. He's going to be a threat on the team, and all the other guys are going to have no choice but to try to catch up to him someday because of the amount of not just sheer speed he has in the water, but how quick he is and how smart he is with that quickness. Next up, Travis Brown. Very quickly, and more specifically Travis, is that they both are some of the fastest learners and excellent listeners. From the first day that he got in the pool, he made almost instant changes in his habits, which over the years transformed him into being one of the biggest players that we have on the team. He made defense look good and carried swagger to himself in the water like no else happened. It's serious, it's true. When he would get out of the water every single time, his suit would be out. Whenever he was going down, countering a counterattack, you know, he made sure that he wasn't getting ejected and he was going for the ball rather than for the players. A little embarrassing story of Travis. Back when he was a sophomore, he started off struggling just to lift the bar in the weight room. But you know, he finished finished up his senior year pressing multiple reps with a full plate, which was a great accomplishment for him. Travis overcame a very serious, not very serious, but he overcame a health issue, which he not only competed with, but he surpassed the level of play of most of our players on our team. Even with that crutch, he pushed his body till the very last shred of energy was gone, and then came back every day stronger and smarter. He is the epitome of our team's motto, to put in all that we had until the very last second, which was showcased in our Rancho game where he won it for us in the last 8 seconds. Out of his 19 recorded sprints, he won 10, so just about 50-50. Next up, Ryan Brown. During his sophomore year, Travis was warming up for a game. I was over on the other side of the pool decks, and I walked over from the locker room over to the bleacher area over by the table, and I noticed that he was dressed. I was puzzled and amazed, and even after I grabbed his gear, yelling at him to get back in the water, he told me that he's never practiced before. I said, "What?" And I found out that there was 2 of them. Ryan decided to join and created a legacy, and it's probably one of the best decisions of his life to come out here. And it was a huge deal for the team. He turned out being one of our most dedicated players, outperforming any of our other players, every position that he played, both in set and drive or wings. He didn't make either one. He was a huge inspiration. He was a huge inspiration and model for the rest of the team to follow. And because of this, he always led by example when we learn new drills. His ball handling skills have surpassed anyone's on the team, only because of the effort that he puts in every single drill, every single day. It would be a crime if both of you, stopped playing after your senior year, just because of the transformation that you guys have had over the last 2 years. I couldn't even imagine how you guys would be performing in the next couple. So I'm really proud of you guys. It's gonna be really tough. It's gonna be really tough not having ground this year anymore. Banquet. For the past 2 years, Ryan always tried to grab my attention and ask me, "Are you ready?" Every single day I knew this question was coming. So because of this, at night, I would sit down and I would write out a practice plan to review and to find room for improvement and just to be prepared overall. That way when Ryan actually did ask me that question, I could say, "Yes, I am ready." He's an extremely wise man who always kept a level head and was the first to always help out and diffuse any kind of a situation that would arise. As a goalie, he had a high standard of integrity, which glowed, even through the darkest of our mornings and the loudest of our league games. Whether he was by himself doing legs or core drills in practice or surrounded by 12 others all fighting over the position of a ball, Ryan always made the right choice. Early on in the season, he agreed to get extra help with last year's goalie, Stephen Thompson, and he worked his butt off every single day, which translated directly to constant improvement. Over this season, Ryan had 103 blocks out of 176 attempted on him, about a 43%. He had 23 steals this year, which is about the third most on his team, which is, I believe, directly because of the help that he got from Stephen Thompson last year, just being a little bit more aggressive and coming out of the cage rather than hiding and being timid inside. So, great improvement over this year. Matthew Gale. season, the boys gave titles to each one of our captains. We had two, both Matt and Sam. Matt was the leader by speaking. He gave directions to the boys, and instantly there would be a response. In the beginning of the year, he seemed entitled to the position, mostly during summer league, which troubled me a little bit at first. But as season got closer, he not only held others accountable for their actions, but he judged himself very intricately as well. After every game, Matt would analyze both offense and defense, breaking down situations with me that needed to get corrected. This definitely helped to our team's adjustments, which were made almost immediately in both games and in practices. Matt was our starting set player and finished off the season with 28 goals in total, 28 goals, a total of 16 steals, and more drawn exclusions on this than anyone else on this team combined, actually. He had the power to start and set, I believe, all 3 years that he was on varsity, but was an exceptional utility and rocked whatever position I needed him in this year. He held himself to an extremely high standard, which I am, undyingly proud about. He had the opportunity of attending the All-Star practice and realized, that this group was a little subpar of standard of what he was expecting of players. Our team remains respectful and in the water because of the guided leadership that comes from that. And he definitely made it apparent in this program. And it would really be a crime if you ended your season early, your career early rather. And I really wish that you go on and play at least 2 years with the JC. It would make me proud. Next up, Polo. Paladin is a force to be reckoned with. At the same time, he is an extremely gentleman. He is an example to the rest of the boys of being both an aggressive offensive man at the point position while remaining nearly flawless while he was guarding set. This in combination with Sam's defensive skills made Brian's job as a goalie a whole lot easier in that most of the steals that we would get would be on defense and Brian wouldn't even really have to do anything most of the time. Hal would approach me almost every day after club season or after club practice during club season, asking what he did right, what he did wrong, and how he can improve. This eventually turned into him just saying, "Okay, Jax, let me have it." His biggest crutch this year was always his confidence in his shot and timing, even though I knew he had the absolute best shot on the team. Every day, him and Jason would stay in the pool for as long as they possibly can, both before and after practice, working on their accuracy, which shows signs of a true champion and someone that really wants to be here for this sport. It's going to be really hard not seeing that smile next year. I really hope that continues on his journey and spreads his love and passion wherever maybe. Next up, Jason Pham. Jason Pham definitely brings a different kind of personality to this team. A little bit over the top sometimes, but definitely he has a filter. This kid wants to eat, sleep, and breathe water polo. He spent every moment, every opportunity in the water working on his shot and his skill set. That truly inspired me as a coach. Last year, him and I went to watch Sagerstrom play, and he told me after that that's how he believed that our team was going to be looking for this current season. The twinkle in his eye for this sport is so profound that I see it even inspiring this lower class over here who need to be like him. Jason's love for the sport is seen in the intensity Jason's love for the sport is seen definitely with how intensely he plays, which I doubt we'll never see from a player ever again. He makes me so proud. And I talk about him all the time, I really do. As I do about all these other players. Jason is everything that a coach could ever ask for out of a Polo player, hands down. Next guy. Sam was the other half of our leadership team, and he was dubbed the Dewey. Sam held an elevated playing style, which came from his keen understanding of the sport. Sam spent countless hours at Corona Del Mar Water Polo Club, learning the next level of play, competing against kids that were 3 times the skill level of SM. Which I was extremely blessed to have him on the team this year. I truly was. He is gentle at first appearance, but let me tell you that Sam is truly vicious, and he's not, of course, to be taken lightly. Since I coached him as a little sophomore, I knew the kid was going to be a natural leader. His defensive skills are like nothing that I've never seen before. He's constantly and dramatically increasing. He was constantly dramatically increasing year after year after year. Sam held 17 in league steals, which is monumental when you think he had about 35 total this season. He always made sure that I personally was balanced and fair in whatever I did as a coach. And if there ever was a problem with the team, he would always nick it in the butt or bring it to my attention, and we would nick it in the butt together. It's going to be extremely hard not having him on the team next year, and he's leaving behind huge shoes that are going to need to be filled. Sam is the perfect example of what I want all my athletes to accomplish in 4 years as they're here. He sets a standard that I feel for most need to reach. And last but not least, Josh. It's always huge to have a lefty part of your team, and Josh was no exception to that. His speed opened him up as one of our main counterattacks when he was in the water, and he's always opening up to the release, which not all boys always do, as well as always trying to nail those goalies in the face. He almost always nailed that right lead shot that we put him in the 6-on-5 power play during league. And he scored, I believe, 3 out of the 3 shots that he had while he was in that position. He definitely had to overcome a little personal illness over the season, which hindered him a little bit from some of his playing time. But, even when he was in the water in the morning, he was still one of the fastest kids in the pool next to Dylan every single time. He came in from Kennedy last year, and, over the last year, he transformed into an Argonaut, which I'm so proud of. Be blessed again with having his presence on his team during the last half of his high school career. All right, so with that being said, this is your 5 it feels really nice to coach have a big stack right here that actually happens. So we're going to go ahead and start off with our 3.05, and that is Kyle Deegan. Next up with a GPA of 3.09, Brian Cuevas. With a GPA of 3.15, Ryan Brown. GPA of 3.17, Josh Provo. With a 3.23, Jason Payne. With a 3.3, Carlos Wales. A 3.34, Kyle Nguyen. A 3.4 is going to be Dylan Janoka. And that's no. And with an outstanding 4.09, Sam Ruiz. Huge deal that we have this many kids that balance both academics and athletics together during a season. It is a huge deal, and these boys definitely deserve to get notified for that, or recognized for that rather. Let's have a round of applause. Alright, let me go ahead and introduce our all-league athletes, both the second team and then first team. I'm going to ask those gentlemen to stay up here, and I'm going to introduce your team awards together, all right? Starting off with our second team, all league. So we get together as coaches, and we talk about how our seasons went, how the league went specifically, and what kids deserve to be on these specific teams. And specifically for like league MVP, it's always a really rough battle, and it's really tough, especially with last year's league MVP being a junior and returning and doing things that he did. And Rancho ended up getting the league MVP again this year. But regardless, I'm extremely satisfied with who I actually did end up getting on these teams. So first off, second team, all league, Kyle Nguyen. Next up on the second team, all league, Sam Ruiz. All right, now, first team all league, they get a fancy pants patch. So it's pretty cool, he gets to get on the Letterman jacket. First off on our first team all guarding the league is going to be Dylan Janoka. And finally, last first team, all league, Matthew Gale. All right, now with these four gentlemen up here on the stand, I'm going to ask that they actually stay up here. All right, we're going to kind of roll right into our team awards. First off, with Defensive Player of the Year. This is an award that typically does go to a goalie, specifically because the goalie's one job is to play defense, block the cage. So when it actually does go to a field player, it's monumental, it really is. And so, onto get on with it. Sam Ruiz is our defensive. my mind that Sam was going to be one of our top players this year. He was going to be one of our top defensemen this year. The things that he did in the league, the things that he did over this season were huge, and we won games because of Sam. I can say that confidently. Like I said previously, it's going to be really rough as a captain next year. I saw him as a captain when he was a sophomore. He had leadership skills when he was a junior. He was a strong captain this year. And he's got really big shoes that I need to be filled, right? Thank you very much, Sam, for all that. Next up, I'm going to welcome up to the stage Ryan Brown. The reason why I introduced Ryan here is because there's an award that we give out, and like Coach Lizard said before, these awards were voted on, these plaques were voted on by the team themselves, right? So me as a coach, I didn't have any kind of persuasion in these. The all-league awards, those are definitely my persuasion, but these plaques are all by the boys themselves, right? So it's awesome that these guys are being recognized, not only by me, but by them themselves and the other coaches in our league. So these are monumental awards. Ryan Brown perfectly summarizes what I need when it comes to dedication in water polo. He was without a shadow of a doubt the most dedicated person this year. He came to every single practice. He came to every single club practice last year. Maybe living around the corner from the school definitely helping with that, but he made it a point to be here every single day and work his butt off. He was our main utility player. He could play set, he could play guard, he could do anything and everything that I needed him to do. When we were doing drills in the pool, he was always the first person I pointed out to do it. Whenever there would be a drill that I myself was kind of trying to figure out as we were doing it, Ryan would perfect it even before I would. That's just the kind of learner that he is. And I saw from the very first day that he jumped in the water. I told him to keep his head straight. His head was straight from there on out. I told him to get his elbows up, his elbows were up from then on out. I told him that whenever he shoots the ball, he needs to get up to his speedo, and from then on out, every single time he shot the ball, I saw his speedo out of the water. And that's why he's our most dedicated player. I'm going to go ahead and switch up the order of the awards I was going to do it originally. Next up, rather than doing MVP, Argo of the Year last, I'm going to go ahead and do it next. Argo of the Year goes to the player that perfectly embodies what it means to be an Argo, not just in the water, but also outside of the pool deck as well, whether we're on another pool representing our school, or whether he's in class, with his grades or talking to their teachers. This guy is an excellent representation of what it means to be an Argo. With all that being said, he is the best player on our team. He scores the most goals, and he makes the sport look easy. Dylan Janoka. Alright, and my final award is going to go to, is going to be the Coach's Award. Like Coach Lizard explained before, the Coach's Award is for the person that not only proves himself to be a worthy Argonaut, but a worthy person as well. And a big part of this year's Coach's Award, the person that is actually being honored, inspired me every single day to get out of bed and make sure that I was there early or on time to get the kids in the water. This kid, every single time we had practice, found 15 to 20 minute pool time before or afterwards to make sure that he was shooting, working on his accuracy, working on his shots. During club season, I would have to stay 45 minutes after practice sometimes just because this kid wouldn't get out of the pool. And the fact that I have to pull someone away from the pool, shows how much heart, how much love he has for the sport. And that's why I'm doing this in the first place. The only reason why I coach is I love these kids. And I know they love me back, but this kid, really is something special. And when I see him in the water and the way that he acts, the way that he talks, the way that he carries himself, inspires me, it inspires the rest of the players, it inspires the underclassmen. And it's a really big deal that he's a part of this team and he's done the things that he's done, because it's gonna be really tough to not see him next year. He's been a really big part of my life. And Coach's Award is gonna go to Jason Cannon. Okay. Holy cow. These awards, the All League awards were chosen by the other coaches in the league. These plaques were chosen by the teammates themselves. Pretty much, I had little, very little to do with the gentlemen that are standing up here before you today. But if you could see who's up here, this is pretty much our starting team, and it's awesome that I recognize these guys to be a starting squad. The other coaches recognize this team to be a starting squad. They realized that they were the starting squad, and it's this core group of kids right here won us games. They won us a championship, and none of them are going to be here next year except for Dylan. And this is going to be a really big issue in our program that, the younger guys, you're really going to need to step up and replace the shoes of these guys up here. Every single one of these guys, like I said before, I love them and they love me. And that mutual respect that we have for each other has been definitely apparent this year and, with all their accomplishments. And I'm so extremely proud of these guys, so extremely proud. I promised myself I wouldn't shed a tear. I would if I could, just to force it out. But I'd be crying right now if I possibly could because I'm going to miss you guys so pretty much. You guys are more than welcome to be seated after some final pictures. I continue on with my water polo and swim career over at Fullerton College, for those of you who don't know. If I could spread any last words of advice to my senior team, it's that if you're not in a rush to graduate, please go to a junior college for 2 years. Get used to the next level of play. All of you guys should go on and play water polo. Knock some of your prerequisition classes out for a cheaper price, and just enjoy your time being a kid when you can. Follow your dreams and do whatever you guys want to do, whatever makes you happy, because, someday you guys are going to be the future and you're going to revolutionize your passions. To my returning players for next year, please pursue joining a water polo club during the off season. I cannot stress this enough. Getting another coach's perspective is the only way that you guys are going to be able to combine your strategies and form your own. And I recommend this without a shadow of a doubt. We do run our own club program here at Garden Road, which we're going to start sometime in mid-January. And it's going to be run by me in my own free time. I don't get paid to do this. I do this out of the goodness of my own heart. We're probably this year going to change it up a little bit, and we're going to ask for a donation. More than likely, it's something like $30 a month. What that's going to do is going to keep our attendance consistent, and it's going to help fuel the Argo Aquatics Booster Program, which directly gets invested right back into the kids. Tonight, I close by saying again how much this program means to me, how much these boys mean to me, and how big this sport is in my life. I hope that both Coach Lizard and I are positive role models, and we have created for you guys, prideful athletes, and just we love doing what we came to do. I believe that the seniors have a couple things to say, and somebody might talk about that. Once again, thank you all very much for coming to see me.
I'd just like to first start off by thanking all of our friends who supported us in our league games and stuff. Your support means the world to us. It's glad to see that we're lucky enough to have the games at our home school instead of having to travel in, and by you guys showing us your support, and just really, it's just really, thanks. And I just want to let all the returning players know that you guys should do swim season because it's supposed to help you improve, and that's what I was told to tell you guys. And I also want to thank Coach Dax for everything, teaching me water polo my sophomore and junior and senior year, and wanting me to go above and beyond the standards. I'm glad he chose me to participate in the All-Star Leagues, and yeah, thanks.
Hello. I just came prepared and I just forgot what I was going to say, but I'd just like to thank everyone for being here. I'd like to thank Dax, most of all, because I came into the sport thinking I was the worst player in the world, and I thought that every day. But Dax was the one that stood by me the whole time, and made me feel like the player I wanted to be. Thank you, Lizard, for picking me up when I was down. Thank my boys for making my senior year the best. I love you guys. You're more than my friends. You're more than my teammates. You're family.
I just wanted to talk a little bit about our season and some of the guys. It's been a really long journey for all of us. I know coming in my freshman year, this was pretty scary. I'm more of a land sport kind of person, so jumping into the water was really new to me, and it took a while to adjust. But just from all of the great coaches here, like my freshman year coach Troy, which is Lizard's wonderful father, really inspired me to keep going with the game. I trained really hard throughout my freshman year because everybody just inspired me to do that much better. I remember Troy, the coach, wanted me to go to morning practices with Varsity because he wanted me to get the experience. And come CIF time, Mr. Henniger, the Varsity coach from a couple of years ago, selects a number of people to move up for CIF. So during those practices, he came up to me in the locker room and he said, "Hey Matt, you know, you're really good, you got all the skills, but you're just really slow in the water." So I felt really excited. So I felt really excited, but kind of bummed out that he said that to me. So he came to me after polo season. He's like, "Hey Matt, so what are you gonna do for swim season?" And I was planning to do track or baseball. And I was like, "Oh, I was planning to do track." He's like, "So what are you gonna do for swim then?" So I ended up doing swim, and I tried very hard to get myself to be faster and to work my way up to varsity. So what I do, I just sneak into higher lanes, which are the faster ones, and just start swimming with their sets. Meanwhile, getting coached after school with this wonderful coach over here, Dax Tarrant, during club season. So it was double practices, so in the morning and in the afternoon, and it was a lot on my plate. So going through all that, I was very nervous about sophomore year, wanted to be on varsity, and I was overjoyed that I made it. And something clicked in my head that if you really do put the work in, you will achieve what you're gonna want in life. So after all that, it was just an amazing experience after that in polo, from sophomore year all the way to senior year. And everybody around me just made it that much better. And I'm sorry if I don't mention you, but trust me, I do still love you. I'll start off with the fresher people on the team. So our one and only Carlos, we like to call him Sass Master, because every time I say something, he'd just do it right away. Every time Sam do something, he'd always sass him and not do it. And Carlos, I saw the same thing I saw in me my sophomore year. It's just the drive and dedication in the game to want to be better. And it just really inspired me to do even better than Carlos, because I don't want that guy to beat me. Next up is Jake, which I like to call him Jakey Babs. And he's a third part of our team that me and Ryan made, so our team name is Rathy Babs. It's pretty well known, I know. And Jake's one of those other kids that they're really putting in the work, and you can see that they are. I remember towards the end of the season, one practice, all of us were aching from all these pains because Jake was just going so hardcore in the pool during practice. He ended up almost like breaking my ankle. He headbutted Kyle, I believe. I think he punched Sam or something during practice. But you can tell he really wanted to get better at polo, and it was a really like amazing thing to see. Not an amazing thing to feel though, of course. Next is Dylan, otherwise known as Garbage Man. We gave him the nickname because every time we would shoot a ball, he'd just pick it up and put it in if we didn't. And he's really great. I don't like to admit when people are good. It's just not like about me, but Dylan is good. He's super fast. He's challenging me to be a better set because I don't want him to take my position. And I really have high hopes for him next year, and probably will get the league MVP. Next up is Nosmosis, otherwise known as Austin Nos. Austin really does have a lot of potential in his future. He's got the long, lanky arms, which whenever last year I'd guard with Anthony and set, made it very hard to get the ball because he could always reach past my shorter arms. So if he really does work in point, he's going to be a really big threat there and make it a lot harder for sets to score on him. Next up is my co-captain Sam, baby Sam. It was really enjoyable to play water polo with Sam. We've known each other since 6th grade and have been like best buds ever since. And it really took off a lot of stress my freshman year playing with Sam because I actually knew someone there, and ever since then we've just been growing together, challenging each other to get better and better. And it's just made my experience that much better in water polo, and I love it. Next is next up is Josh Thomason. One of our nicknames we gave for him, because we love to give everyone nicknames, is Wonder Bread, as you can tell. It was interesting to play with Josh because at first it was really cool that we had a lefty on the team, which was awesome for our 6-on-5s. And then he was also super fast going up and down the pool, which was even better because now we have a fast lefty on the team. So whenever we got on 6-on-5s, I was confident that I would give him the great pass to shoot it in, and he would give me the great pass to shoot it in. And there was just a lot of chemistry right there that was going on, and it really helped out with the team. Next is Jason Pham, which made this year very interesting with everything he did. He was a really great outside shooter, and I know that when he really got into it, he's going to score that goal. He would drive down and make that guy work to try to get the ball away from him. And if that other guy did not work, that ball was going into the goal no matter what. Next up is Kyle Nguyen. He likes to call himself the Yellow Mamba. No one ever calls him that. Kyle was my main partner whenever we were in the pool during plays because I'd be set and he'd be set guard, so we had to constantly push each other to get better. If I started getting better and scoring, that means he had to get better, and he definitely did and made me look dumb in the pool. But I know when Kyle got the ball, and if they ever left him open, that ball was going to go in, no matter what. He has a great outside arm and was a strong shooter, and I know on 6-on-5s, he's going to put that goal in no matter what. Brian, otherwise known as Brick Wall, was an amazing goalie. I loved him. He was super, he was aggressive, and he really got in our faces if we weren't doing what we were supposed to do on defense. So I always made sure to sweet talk him before the game so he wouldn't get mad at me as much. Next up is the other part of rap, Ryan Brown. It's a little thing we just made up during club because we all just love making each other team names and stuff. Sam and Kyle, the dynamic duo. Dylan and Deegan are double D's. You see how creative we are. So me and Ryan ended up becoming rap, and I'm just telling you right now, we're a force to be reckoned with. And I just love passing with Ryan, working with him, because I know he was going to push me as much as I was going to push him. And just seeing him get straight out of the water, speedo out and everything, and shooting it in was awesome. And I wish I could do that, but I'm not as cool as that guy. It's pretty cool. And last but not least, the Rancho Slayer himself, Travis Brown. And Dax made it apparent to thank Travis every day for that Rancho goal. And he really did prove that to never give up during a game ever. Even though there were 7 seconds left, we were all devastated in that game. I even thought we were going to lose right there. So when I got the ball at point, I was planning on shooting it. But then Ethan, the other player guarding me, ended up rushing me and fouling me. And when preparation meets hard work, that's when you see all your goals start opening up. And I saw Travis hustling down the pool because his defender was cocky and thought he won. And we passed it to Travis in, and story goes on that he did score that goal and tied that game, and everyone was pumped up after that. We knew that we had them if we could get them to go longer. And eventually we did put them away and win that game, and it was amazing to see all that happen because Travis didn't give up until the very end.
Yeah, Travis! Yeah, Travis!
One thing that I do love in life is sports, and I played a lot of different sports with a lot of different teams. And playing with each coach, they all did everything differently. But one thing that stood out to me was Dax, because all the coaches had a fine line between coach and player. And Dax just erased that line and made everyone in the team a family, including himself. During the game, he was Coach Dax, and after the game, he was fun, loving, best friend guy, Dax. And when we just hung out, he just felt like one of the guys, and we were just so comfortable with him. I've never had that with another coach, and it's just always been sad. And I'm really glad I could say Dax has broken that fine line and really connected with everybody on the team. And I'm really glad that Dax has been able to coach me these last 3 years because he's the reason why I got sophomore varsity. And I've just been grateful for it ever since. Thank you.
Alright, I'm going to keep this short and sweet because I know everyone wants to go home. We're just going to recognize the boosters and we're going to give them flowers. So, firstly, I'm going to call up Michelle Winfrey.
I would like to recognize Mrs. Latham.
I'd like to recognize my mom, Tina Polo.
for some flowers. I'd like to recognize my mom. She's amazing.
I'd like to recognize my mom.
And throughout my sports career, I like to recognize the two people that have been there for me ever since the beginning. My parents, my mom and dad.
So also before we give coaches gifts, we also want to thank all the coaches for doing stats for us. And we have gifts coming soon. And we have more stuff for you, so.
And Varsity would like to present our coach's gift to Dax. So if Mr. Dax Tarek, if you'd come up here, please. Our first gift is the honorary coach's hat, because we know he loves them so much, and he last one unfortunately broke, but now he's embraced it.
That's a nice one.
Okay,
All right, and a pair of rainbow sandals.
Anybody who's anybody would know that the Aquatics are fond of their sandals, so we thought we should get our coach the best sandals there is in this country. They're not just any sandals.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Dax is also now a USA Water Polo certified rep, so. Okay, and lastly, don't vote that yet? Oh, okay, you can vote that out. So, as Dax was saying about how all of us like to take after him, the whole short shorts, I always remember him telling me, you can never have shorts too short. So, maybe. And that's all you have.